Hello listeners, and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 3 is here. My name is Jim, and your other readers are
Thaddean,
Nan,
and Ray. Andrew is an engineer tonight, and he'll be doing the recording, and Ray will be doing the copying and the distribution. The news this week is taken with permission from the West Lothian Courier, dated Thursday the 21st of August, and we are actually recording this on the 21st of August. Any anecdotes we have will be taken from the Reader's Digest, again with their permission. As usual, the recording this week has been divided into 4 sections, and can I remind you right at the start that when you have listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a post box and not the post office. So, we will start the first section with some general news.
Tribute to the Fallen 80 years after VJ Day. A congregation from a church in West Lothian paid tribute to the fallen as they commemorated the 80th anniversary of the end of the war with Japan. VJ Day marks the date that Japanese forces announced their surrender to the Allies, August the 15th, 1945, and finally brought World War II to an end. The Japanese government would officially sign a written declaration of surrender weeks later on September 2nd. The congregation of Kirk of Calder gathered to honour and pay tribute to the World War II generation from across the UK and the Commonwealth. After a moving service, focusing on the war in the Far East, Reverend William Watt led the commemoration at the Mid-Calder War Memorial, and a poppy wreath was placed on the gates of the arch. Japan paid a terrible price in August 1945 with the loss of around 230,000 civilian lives, residents of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, after the two cities were hit with atomic bombs in the days prior to surrender. It's estimated up to 166,000 died in the attack on Hiroshima on August the 6th, around 10,000 of them soldiers, and another 80,000 died 3 days later when Nagasaki was hit. Just 150 were soldiers. And there's several photographs, some at the commemoration, and a great photograph from August 1945 when they were celebrating the end of the war.
40 years, 100 kids, and one very big heart packed full of love for others. A remarkable mother of 3 who grew up in the care system before going on to foster more than 100 children over the past 40 years, is today calling on others to consider becoming foster carers with Barnardo's Scotland. Denise Hopkinson, who has been married to husband Rick for almost 50 years, was herself fostered as a young girl, and it was this period of her life that gave her the motivation and drive to become a foster carer herself. Denise from Livingston said, "I was a looked-after child and was in care for 6 years. I was in a home at first, and then I moved on to a foster family. I was fortunate that I had a lovely foster family, and I was very happy living with them. When I stayed with them, I used to say, 'When I am a big girl, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make somebody as happy as you have made me.' That stuck in my head. But despite her determination, there was still one hurdle for Denise, 65, to overcome, as she explains. I met Rick when I was 15 and still at school. We were still teenagers when he asked me to get engaged, and I said to him that I had to foster. That was one of the conditions of us getting married. I said, I won't marry you if you won't let me foster. And he said to me, yay, I'm good for that. Denise and Rick already had 3 children of their own when the first foster child joined their family in 1987. It was my goal. I had to do this. It was like payback for the help that I had and how happy my carers had made me, she adds. Now, Denise estimates that the couple have fostered well over 100 children. She said, we fostered children with the local authority first. We had a long-term fostered child that left, and then my children started leaving, and we thought, maybe it's time for us to have a break. We took some time out and did some stuff by ourselves, but as I was approaching 50, one night Rick said to me, you have that look, I replied. What look? And he said, you know what look? I had been driving into town that day and seen an advert on a bus for the charity Bernardo's and thought, if we can make a difference to one more child, it would be worth it. It is very rewarding and wonderful to see all the goals that the children in your care are able to achieve. And you know that they may not have reached these goals without your support and love. It can be challenging, but when they achieve things like going to university, it's a very special feeling indeed. I would strongly urge others to consider fostering a child. Denise, who has been a foster carer with Bernardo's since 2010, remembers her own time in a special foster family and how she was in contact with them long after she had moved on. She said, I kept in touch with them until they went into a nursing home. They have both passed now, but it was lovely to keep that relationship. They made me feel safe and loved. A crisis in fostering in Scotland was identified last year when Bernardo's pointed to research by the Fostering Network that revealed the number of foster families required stands at 500. Bernardo's Scotland is committed to keeping the promise to care experienced young people and to ensure every child in Scotland grows up safe, loved and respected. Anne White, Assistant Head of Fostering and Adoption at Bernardo's Scotland, said, at present, we are operating under the backdrop of a very real crisis in our society today. Having supported children for a century and a half, we urgently need more people like Denise and Rick to come forward and consider becoming foster carers to play their part in continuing this legacy. Right now, Scotland is facing a foster care crisis at an unprecedented rate, with too many children still entering the care system and an insufficient number of loving homes to accommodate them. The impact of the crisis is felt more by children in the care system. Without enough potential foster homes, children are already at risk of being placed in unsuitable situations as a last resort. We know fostering is a big decision, and we certainly do not expect people to foster more than 100 children. But with more children entering the care system each year, there is no time to wait. Your skills and care can change a child's life. The perfect time to foster a child doesn't exist, but the right time is now. Please get in touch with us for a no-strings-attached conversation and let's talk fostering today. For more information on becoming a foster carer with Bernardo's in Scotland, please visit www.bernardos.org.uk or call 0800 0277 280. The charity's friendly and supportive staff are available from Monday to Friday between 9 and 5.
Changes to services will boost bus travel journeys. The leader of West Lothian Council has welcomed changes to bus services operated by Lothian Country that will benefit people living in the local authority area. As well as Lothian Country services, changes have been announced to services on the Lothian, Night Bus and East Coast Buses networks, which will also take effect from Sunday, September the 7th. Improvements to the Lothian Country network will include new links to Armadale and Livingston Village, plus additional journeys introduced across West Lothian. Among the improvements are a revised route and timetable for the number 72. Service frequency will be improved. There will be improved frequencies from every 60 minutes to every 40 minutes between Falthouse and Winchborough on all days. In Winchborough, a revised route will operate via Duntarvie Castle Road, terminating at Winchborough campus. The service will no longer operate to Kirkliston, with that section of route between Winchborough and Kirkliston accommodated by service X19. New early morning and late evening journeys will be introduced, with last departures from Livingston around 11 p.m. The number 73 route, following customer feedback, will see a new direct link introduced between Armadale and Livingston via Livingston Village and Elyburn Park every hour, Monday to Saturday daytime. The route will no longer serve the Civic Centre, St John's Hospital, Wester Inch and Blackburn. The revised Service 74 will instead serve Wester Inch and Blackburn. Services 72, X27, X28 and X40 will continue to serve St John's Hospital. The 74 service will be extended to operate direct via Alderstone Road to Bathgate, then Wester Inch and Blackburn, as per the current service 73. Proxy stops will be provided on Alderstone Road for St John's Hospital. This service revision will provide a new direct north-south link across Livingston without the need to change or pay twice at Livingston Centre. Additional early morning and late evening journeys will be provided to Blackburn and Falthouse. The route will be altered in Falthouse. Buses will continue to serve Falthouse shops, then run a one-way loop via Lanrig Road and Eastfield Road, terminating at its south end, before continuing towards Livingston. Together, Service 73 and 74 will provide more fast, direct journeys between Livingston and Bathgate with a combined 30-minute Monday to Saturday daytime frequency. Service X18 will see a revised timetable, with an additional Monday to Friday early morning journey operating from Bathgate and an additional afternoon peak journey from Edinburgh. Service X27 and X28 will also have a revised timetable and stopping pattern. The morning timetable will be adjusted to provide additional X27 journeys towards Edinburgh. There will be a review of the limited stop pattern on Calder Road in response to changes in road speeds. Services will now only stop at Calder View, Edinburgh Napier University, Saughton Mains, Parkhead Terrace and Saughton Roads Gardens. Night services N28 and N43 will also see minor timetable changes. Announcing the changes on their website, Lothian Country stated, "Since launching our network of local services in West Lothian in December 2023, we've continued to engage with the local authority as we monitor the performance and viability of these services. We're delighted that the trend in bus use in the area continues to be positive, and these changes represent a significant investment by Lothian Country to ensure that customer growth can be maintained and encouraged. This includes responding to community feedback with regards to direct links,
frequencies, service reliability and later evening buses. The leader of West Lothian Council, Lawrence Fitzpatrick, welcomed the news, saying, "We're delighted with Lothian Bus's decisions to amend and extend services in West Lothian, including a new service for Livingston Village. This is great news for local bus users and our communities. The vast majority of bus services are wholly commercial, and the Council has no authority over commercial bus services. But officers work closely with commercial operators to provide customer feedback and explore opportunities to enhance the bus network within West Lothian, where commercially viable. I know this recent announcement will be warmly welcomed by local bus users across many communities. For further information on the bus service changes, visit the website lothianbuses.com/news/25/08/service-change.
Lace up trainers and join the memory walk. People across West Lothian are being encouraged to sign up for a fundraising walk that pays tribute to people with dementia. Alzheimer's Scotland's Memory Walk to 2025 takes place on Sunday, September the 7th, and will raise vital funds to support dementia care, research, and improvements in brain health. Communities across West Lothian are being invited to join the event at Crown Point Sports Complex on Crown Point Road in Glasgow, where they can walk in memory of loved ones affected by the illness. The event is the third of 4 memory walks taking place across Scotland throughout 2025. Lorna Shand, Centre Manager at Alzheimer's Scotland's Brain, Health and Dementia Resource Centre in Glasgow, said, "Alzheimer's Scotland is proud to support people living with dementia and their families and carers. We are delighted to host this memory walk in Glasgow. It is such a special event and it will be wonderful to walk alongside our supporters. Scotland's Memory Walk has always had a wonderful ability to bring people together. Every pound raised helps Alzheimer's Scotland continue to develop and deliver vital dementia support. We can't wait to see the Crown Point Sports Complex filled with a sea of purple T-shirts. Tickets cost just £10 for adults and children can be registered for free. It is quick and easy to set up a sponsorship page which can be shared with family, friends and colleagues. Every penny raised will help people with dementia and their carers, as well as supporting better brain health for everyone in Scotland. Anyone looking to take part can sign up at memorywalk.alzscot.org.
Hub gets back over £1 million. Scotland's only charity dedicated to supporting victims of online scams and cybercrime has helped recover more than £1 million in its first year of operation. The Cyber and Fraud Hub was launched in July 24 and works in close collaboration with Police Scotland, the banking industry and tech partners to combat the growing threat of cyber fraud, with West Lothian Council among the organisations to benefit. The Hub has provided vital assistance to more than 450 individuals, with reported cases totalling £18.2 million. Through this collaboration, it has successfully recovered or prevented from loss £1.15 million, offering not only financial reprieve but emotional and legal support. The charity's mission is to support victims of scams and fraud by empowering them through education and guidance. It provides victim assistance via a support helpline and fraud prevention education with free, accessible online resources to support those navigating the aftermath of cybercrime. In its first year, it provided support to people affected by cyber attacks on West Lothian Council and the City of Edinburgh Council. Alex Dowell, Chief Executive Officer of the Cyber and Fraud Hub and a former cyber crime specialist in the police for more than 30 years, said, "During the last year, we've grown to become the vital resource for those in Scotland and beyond who often feel isolated and overwhelmed in the wake of a scam, helping people regain control, recover funds, and understanding their rights." A great example of this work in action was seen in the wake of recent attacks involving West Lothian Council and the City of Edinburgh Council, where our free data breaches guide was circulated to the public. We're also here to restore confidence and, importantly, make sure people know they're not alone.
Armadale rallies to save Gala after vandal attack. A West Lothian town has come together to save their local gala day after thoughtless vandals caused thousands in damage. Residents of Armadale were devastated when several rented items were damaged by a handful of youths at the gala day in June. Fears were raised that next year's big celebration would be hampered when the committee for the event found out their insurance could not cover the damage. In an attempt to ensure those in 2026 did not miss out, a GoFundMe was set up to try to raise £3,000 to cover the cost of the damage. To their amazement, the community rallied and reached their fundraising target. Brenda Spalding, a member of the Armadale Gala Committee, said, "The Gala Committee and community in Armadale were deeply disappointed that a few youths caused so much damage to rented property during our gala week. The damage was assessed at a total cost of around £3,000. Although we have insurance, it sadly wouldn't cover acts of vandalism. To ensure the children next year weren't disadvantaged, this year's crowner set up a fundraising page which has now surpassed the £3,000 we needed. The whole committee have been overwhelmed by the financial support our brilliant community in Armadale has given. This shows true community spirit and that the acts of a few won't deter the gala day. Thank you to everyone who has donated and the countless messages of support from Armadale and beyond we have received. For anyone looking to donate to the fundraiser, visit www.gofundme.com/F/Armadale Children's Gala Day.
Bonnie choice for most babies. The girl's name Bonnie was the most popular for newborns in West Lothian during 2024. While almost every parent will consider their child to be Bonnie, National Records of Scotland statistics show that 17 in the area took the decision to name their baby Bonnie last year. Harris was the most popular name for boys, with 16 children being registered with that forename. Freya was the second most popular for girls in West Lothian with 16, and Millie came third in the popularity with parent stakes, with 11 kids given that name. Rosie and Sophie were tied in fourth place with 10, Ella and Ivy were next most popular on 9, and Grace, Isla and Lily completed the top 10 with 8 each. For boys' names, there were 3 tied in second place. Noah, Leo and Theo with 14 each. And it was another tie for third, with 12 boys, each named Archie, Luca or Rory. Oliver, Logan and Harry make up the rest of the top 10. Again, they are tied on 11 each. There were 873 boys registered in West Lothian during 2024 and 800 girls, a total of 1,673 children. Noah was either the most or joint most common boy's name in 9 Scottish local authority areas. Overall, the most common names given to babies born in Scotland in 2025 were Noah, 366, and Mohammed, 293 for boys, and Olivia, 266, and Isla, 264 for girls. Within the top 100 girls' names, there were 4 names that rose by 20 places or more: Violet, Arabella, Mila, and Chloe. Notably, Eliza entered the top 100 this year after rising 118 places. Within the top 100 boys' names, there were 4 names that rose by 20 places or more: Miles, Callan, Rory, and Lachlan. And Reggie entered the top 100 this year after rising 57 places.
More help is needed, says Charity. The Scottish Government has failed stroke survivors in the Lothians, according to a leading charity. More than half of stroke patients in NHS Lothian received care defined by national standards last year. Figures released by Public Health Scotland this week as part of their Scottish Stroke Improvements Programme revealed the country is falling unacceptably short of its own target of 80% of stroke patients receiving an inpatient bundle which aims to ensure the best chance of survival and recovery. The bundle, which includes aspirin, access to a stroke unit, brain imaging and swallow screening, was given to just 52.9% of Scotland's 11,341 stroke patients. In Lothian, 56.3% of 1,446 stroke patients received the inpatient bundle in 2024, a 2.1% increase from 2023, which is still short of the Scottish Government's 80% target. Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland, the country's largest health charity, is urging the Scottish Government to make stroke care an urgent priority, as well as demanding widespread improvements for the delivery of thrombectomy, a potentially life-changing procedure. Stroke is still one of the biggest causes of long-term adult disability in Scotland, and the quality of care is crucial for recovery. Alan Cowie, Chief Operating Officer at Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland, said, NHS Lothian is working in partnership with CHSS to enhance stroke care across the region. Together, we are delivering CHSS community healthcare support services, which include a community stroke specialist nurse service, community support services, and a 6-week supported self-management programme for patients. This collaboration is focused on improving the quality of care and supporting better recovery outcomes for people affected by stroke. Although there is work to be done to reach the Scottish Government's target, we recognise that there is a full pathway of support for stroke survivors in the Lothian area. We have worked in partnership with NHS Lothian, who has offered us a lot of support and investment in stroke care in recent years, and we are keen to continue working with them to reach more stroke survivors. Mr. Cowie added, unfortunately, once again, The statistics laid out by Public Health Scotland make for grim reading. Sadly, this is the 7th straight year that the Scottish Government has failed to hit its own targets for stroke care. This Government has failed stroke survivors and is failing our NHS colleagues who are doing the absolute best they can with the inadequate resources they are currently being given. While we recognise the financial constraints facing the Government, the continued underinvestment in stroke care is resulting in significantly high long-term costs, both through prolonged hospital stays and the extensive support required for individuals living with stroke-related disabilities. This ongoing shortfall is not only economically unsustainable, but is also costing lives. Immediate action is imperative. If you're living with the effects of a chest, heart or stroke condition or long COVID and are looking for advice and information, please contact Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland's Advice Centre on 0808 801 0899. You can also text advice to 66777. And that's the end of part 1. We'll be back with part 2 when we get our breath back. Welcome back to part 2, and we'll start with the family intimations, and there is only one, and it's a death. Louise Margaret Sturton, peacefully at Kirklane Nursing Home on Tuesday 29th July 2025, aged 95 years. Beloved daughter, sister and aunt. That's the only intimation, so we'll carry on with some more news items.
MP's act of kindness. Gregor Poynton MP showed his support for families with children who have returned to school this month and is encouraging others to do likewise. Livingston's Labour MP donated £100 worth of equipment to the School Bank West Lothian, a charity which provides new or good quality pre-loved uniforms for children whose families are facing financial hardship. The donation, made during a recent visit to the charity's collection point in the centre Livingston, will help ensure children across West Lothian return to school with the essentials they need. Gregor Poynton MP said, "The School Bank West Lothian does incredible work to make sure no child starts the school year without the essentials they need. I'm proud to support their mission, and I know this donation will go directly to helping families across the Livingston constituency and West Lothian. I would encourage everyone who can get involved, whether it's donating a polo shirt, a water bottle or a full set of supplies. Every contribution makes a real difference. The School Bank West Lothian accepts donations of new or good quality uniforms without school badges, including polo shirts, trousers, skirts, stationery and water bottles. Donations can be left in the collection box located in front of Primark in Livingston and at other collection points across West Lothian. For more information on how to donate or get involved, visit www.schoolbank-westlothian.org.
Claire's stores at risk after administration. Popular tween and teen fashion accessories chain Claire's has plunged into administration, putting more than 300 stores at risk, including 2 based in West Lothian. Around 2,150 jobs are under threat across the company's UK and Ireland stores. These include the shops at Ammonvale Centre and Livingston Designer Outlet. The worrying news comes after the High Street retailer's US parent firm said it filed a formal notice to administrators from advisory firm Interpath. In a statement issued last Wednesday evening, Interpath confirmed Will Wright and Chris Pole have been appointed joint administrators. That puts the future of 306 stores into doubt, a total of 278 in the UK and 28 in Ireland. Administrators will now attempt to find a rescue deal for the chain, which has seen falling sales due to a recent weak consumer demand. The company said all Claire's UK stores remain open as normal, and staff will remain in their current roles once administrators are appointed. Claire's has more than 2,700 stores globally. However, it has now filed for bankruptcy in the United States for the second time. Interpath said the joint administrators will contact all of Claire's employees in the UK and Ireland to provide further information about what the administration means for them. Will Wright, UK Chief Executive at Interpath, revealed last week, Claire's has long been a popular brand across the UK, known not only for its trend-led accessories, but also as a go-to destination for ear piercing. Over the coming weeks, we will endeavour to continue to operate all stores as a going concern for as long as we can, while we assess the options for the company. This includes exploring the possibility of a sale which would secure a future for this well-loved brand.
First of 4 books, a real twisty treat. A Livingston author has released the first in a series of 4 novels set in West Lothian. Ian Colquhoun has already penned a dozen books, and his latest written work, The Wood Fairy, is a fair leap from the majority of his previous works, which have focused on his love of Hibernian FC. Ian, 47, was brought up in the Craigshill area, but after a spell living in Edinburgh, returned to Livingston a decade ago and now resides in Muirston. The Wood Fairy is set in the clubbing scene of Ian's youth, but with a supernatural twist. He said, "It's a significant change of direction because for the last 10 years I've only written books about Hibs. A couple of my older books have been sort of historical fiction, but nothing like this. This is my first foray into dark, contemporary and funny fiction. This will be my 13th book, and I've written a 14th, but that won't be out until November." The Wood Fairy is the first of a series called Broken Biscuits. I'll be bringing out 4 in the next year or so. The common theme is life in central Scotland, out with Glasgow and Edinburgh, in the towns alongside the M8 from the 1990s until the present day. It seems that everyone is so angry and divided these days that I thought I'd write a story back in times when things seemed a bit more united and fun. So it's set in the 90s and the clubbing scene, and it's about a group of friends that work during the week and live for the weekend when they go to places like the Arches and Room at the Top. I used to do all that 26 years ago, and it was the best time of my life. The idea of the supernatural character in the book that the clubbers meet came to me a couple of years ago as a fully formed idea in my head. Ian is a survivor. Although many of his books are football-related, his first was an autobiographical account of his life struggles after he was the victim of a house fire which resulted in him suffering 60% burns. He had to have both legs amputated, as well as losing the fingers of his right hand to the first knuckle. From that personal tragedy came the spur to begin writing. My first book, Burnt, was in 2007, a sort of autobiography, a survival memoir, said Ian. I was always good at English, but as soon as I left school, I ended up working in a warehouse, mainly because I wanted to have the life at the weekends. I did that for 9 years, but after I got burnt, I couldn't do it anymore and had to use my brain a bit more. I went and did some short courses at the University of Edinburgh, and then everything took off from there. I write specifically to combat my PTSD. I type, but strangely, even when I do write with a pen, I still use my right hand, as it was easier to struggle a bit with my right than to learn how to do it left-handed. Ian doesn't let his disabilities and mobility issues hold him back and is more active than many fully mobile people. He continued, "As well as the books, I've done bits and bobs over the last 20 years, including work for the army as a casualty, and was still doing that last year and may do some more this year. That helps to train medics. You've got to do what you can when the world has been a bit unfair to you." A season ticket holder at Easter Road, Ian has also done some acting and is a keen swimmer. Earlier this year, he completed a charity swim to help others. "I swam 10k to raise money for Cancer Research UK back in May," Ian added. The Wood Ferry is priced $12.99 and is available from Amazon or directly at www.brokenbiscuits.scot. It will also be available from Waterstones in the near future.
I don't know what I would do if I didn't have Chaz. I feel much less alone. A mum has told how a children's hospice has been an absolute lifeline to her as the charity launched an urgent fundraising campaign in response to a doubling in demand. Michelle O'Hara spoke out as children's hospices across Scotland, Chaz, kick-started an appeal in response to a massive surge in demand from families seeking respite care. She says being able to access both the charity's hospice and at-home care has been invaluable and says she couldn't imagine life without it. Her daughter, Chloe Thompson, was born with many complex conditions and has been supported by Chaz for the last 5 years. When she was born 3 months early in September 2019, Chloe was unable to breathe properly and was immediately whisked away by medics. All Michelle could do was to hold her baby girl in her arms, but instead she could only watch in horror as she was placed in an incubator, wired up to various tubes and put on a ventilator. Tests revealed that Chloe had contracted sepsis and meningitis in utero, and that she had one lung bigger than the other. Doctors went on to also discover a deadly fluid-filled cyst blocking Chloe's airways, which required immediate surgery. Michelle, who is also mum to Robbie, 13, and Amy, 14, said, "They told me that there was a good chance I would never take her home, and if I did, she would be severely disabled. I was devastated and didn't stop crying for days." Chloe required an urgent heart and lung bypass, but at 3 pounds, she was too small for surgery. It finally went ahead when Chloe was 7 weeks. Weighing just 5 pounds, she was one of the smallest babies ever to undergo the high-risk 8-hour procedure. Unfortunately, surgeons could only partially remove the cyst as it was attached to her airway, and fully removing it would have ended Chloe's life. After the operation, Chloe was put on life support and her parents were informed she would need reconstructive surgery on her lungs. An MRI was carried out which showed that Chloe also had severe brain damage. A palliative care team was enlisted to discuss end-of-life plans, as the doctors did not expect her to survive for long. But Chloe had other plans, and against all the odds, grew stronger with every passing day. She was finally able to go home in March 2020 after 121 days in the neonatal intensive care unit and 49 days in the paediatric ward. When Chloe was 9 months, the family enjoyed their first visit to Rachel House. Michelle, who would like to train to be a nurse in the future, said we were given such a warm welcome by all the staff and made to feel at home straight away. Prior to their visit, Chloe had not been sleeping very well and was very unsettled and crying a lot, but we didn't know why. When we were at Rachel House, Dr. Pat examined her and told me Chloe was having infantile spasms, a serious form of epilepsy which had gone undetected for 2 months. Chloe started on medication for it and was a different child after that, and she has been our smiley little Chloe ever since. I will also always be grateful to Dr. Pat for his expertise and advice and for taking the time to get to know my beautiful girl. Over the last 5 years, Chloe and her family have returned many times to Rachel House for respite visits. Michelle from Midlothian said, "She just loves everything about the place. She's really sociable and loves interacting with people, listening to people chatting and just getting attention. She also enjoys doing arts and crafts with the activities team, getting hand and foot massages, and going into the pool and the sensory room. Chloe also loves the music therapy she gets at Rachel House and loves when Rachel, the in-house musician, plays Disney songs or nursery rhymes and sings to her. She smiles so much and you can hear her trying to match the pitch sometimes and really concentrating on the tone. For me, what I love about going to Rachel House is just being able to relax and not have to worry about anything while I'm there, as I know Chloe is in safe hands and is being well looked after. Lots of the nurses and other members of staff have known her since she was a baby, so there has been lots of cuddles over the years, and Chloe has formed such a beautiful bond with them all. I remember I was up in my bedroom one day and I could hear Chloe laughing. I looked out the window and there she was being pushed on the swing in the garden, smiling and giggling and just having the best time. It was such a heartwarming moment to witness. I also enjoy meeting other families at Rachel House. It's so nice to just sit and have a conversation with people who understand what it's like to having a child with complex needs. Chloe also receives CHAS at-home support, which enables Michelle to spend time with her other children, catch up with admin and housewife, attend appointments or go food shopping. It is a relief to have this time and freedom without having to worry about Chloe or thinking about when her next medication is due. The CHAS at Home team takes over all her needs and Chloe loves them all and has lots of fun with them. Sometimes they take her out for a walk or to the cinema, and other times they just stay at home and do fun activities with her. If there are 2 words to describe what CHAS at Home gives our family, they're solace and joy. Life without CHAS's support would be really difficult. They have been there since Chloe was a baby, so pretty much from the beginning of her life. I honestly don't know how I would ever have got through the last 5 years without their support. Now 5 years old, Chloe still faces lots of challenges due to her complex needs. She has full-body cerebral palsy, epilepsy, is fully tube-fed and completely non-mobile, non-verbal, and developmentally delayed. Despite all her difficulties, Michelle says her daughter is the happiest and most resilient child you could meet and faces every obstacle with a smile. She has her own wee personality and a great sense of humour. She laughs at the most ridiculous thing. She is so affectionate and loves getting lots of cuddles. She is just the most happy, cheeky little girl who is loving life and meeting her own milestones in her own time and in her own way. Jazz helps me feel less alone, and I am so grateful for all their help over the years and for their continued support. I really couldn't imagine life without Jazz.
West Lothian Schools Pipe Band were crowned world champions in their grade at the World Pipe Band Championship in Glasgow last weekend. The talented band members picked up the top trophy in the Novice A section for the first time, after being runners-up for the last 4 years. It rounds off a fantastic year for the band, who also retained their Scottish Champions trophy in the Novice A category in Dumbarton last month. The band were formed in 2007 and have previously won a number of trophies in the last 18 years, including UK and European championships. West Lothian Schools Pipe Band's pipe major, Graham Drummond, said, "We are absolutely delighted to be named as World Pipe Band champions in the Novice A grade this year. The band have been working so hard to take the top prize after coming so close for the previous 4 years. They deserve this title for all the effort they have put in, and we are pleased to bring the trophy back to West Lothian for the first time." Executive Councillor for Education Andrew Maguire added, "Many congratulations to all the amazing Westies on becoming the Novice A World Champions for 2025. The young people involved put in a huge amount of work to get to this stage, so it's a reward for all the tough nights of practice and rehearsal. Thanks also go to their superb tutors and supportive families who have helped the young people to achieve this fantastic result. The Worlds, the premier contest in the global piping competitive calendar, brings together the best pipers and drummers on the planet to compete in the ultimate battle of the bands. The event is delivered by Culture and Sport Charity in Glasgow Life on behalf of the Royal Pipe Band Association, with support from Events Scotland, part of Visit Scotland's Events Directorate. This year's spectacular showcase of skills and talent saw 15 countries represented by 207 bands, 53 of which were from overseas, including Australia, Oman and Zimbabwe. Scotland entered the biggest national contingent, 122 bands. Northern Ireland had the second largest with 25 bands, and next was the USA with 14 bands. The Worlds attracts thousands of spectators to Glasgow every summer, and attendance at this year's exciting two-day contest was over 35,000. Audiences all over the world were also able to view highlights from the championships on both days via live streaming. This year, the major event included a dedicated youth competition. More than 1,500 under-18s competed in this new feature of the Worlds, which celebrated and recognised young talent in piping and drumming, and showcased the incredible talent and skills of the next generation. Colin Mulhern, Chief Executive of the Royal Scottish Pipe Band Association, said, "We are grateful to all of the competing bands, supporters and spectators who joined us for 2025 championships. This year, Worlds proved to be a fiercely fought contest, and our 2025 World Pipe Band champions, Inverary and Amp District Pipe Band, deserve a huge congratulations for winning the global title for a second year running. Every one of the bands can take pride in their wonderful performances. They gave us a splendid competition and demonstration of their dedication to excellence and their outstanding skills and talents.
Frustration as cafe fight is lost. Pensioners have lost their battle to save a West Lothian community cafe in their retirement home from closure. An 11th-hour rescue plan, which would have kept just one paid member of staff at the Rosemount Gardens Cafe, was rejected by the Integration Joint Board, IJB, which oversees social care. Bathgate SNP councillors who had backed the campaign slated the decision, with one saying the board had questionable accountability. Jackie Davidson, who led the Rosemount Cafe campaign from the outset, told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, LDRS, that she was devastated at the decision taken by councillors and voting members of the IJB last Wednesday afternoon. A decision was made at the start of the year to close the cafe, moving staff to other council catering jobs. This would add £136,000 to budget savings the board needed to make. The closure was first stalled to seek interested parties to take on the cafe, which serves the Bathgate Retirement Complex. In June, the IJB agreed to a further delay, calling for new impact reports to be compiled. Over the summer, an alternative business plan was drawn up by Jamie Seary, charity manager of West Lothian 50 Plus Network, with support from Save Rosemount Gardens Cafe Action Group and advised by Martin Thompson and David Barclay, business advisors with the Council's Business Gateway. The presentation stated, "The proposal sets out a realistic, cost-controlled plan to keep Rosemount Gardens Cafe open from August 25 to July 26, saving West Lothian Council nearly £100,000, while protecting a vital social lifeline for older and disabled residents. We propose a council-led hybrid model that cuts staffing costs by over 60%, from £136,900 to £56,000. Aligns pricing with local community cafe benchmarks, for example, Craig's Farm, generates a strong gross surplus of £49,000 before staff costs, brings the service close to break-even with a projected £6,944 deficit, and builds towards a full community-led takeover by August 2026. The papers added, "It buys time, avoids reputational damage, and delivers a better outcome for residents and the wider public." This approach also aligns with the IJB's stated priorities of prevention, community empowerment, and reducing longer-term care costs. Responding to the proposals, Robin Allen, the manager for Older People's Services, told the board last week, "The proposed model does not achieve a cost-neutral position with a projected recurring annual loss of £14,500. He added that there were a range of risks and assumptions around expected income and the potential need for staff to cover for holidays, as well as a reliance on volunteers. Labour councillors Andrew Maguire and Tony Boyle expressed reluctance at accepting the manager's report and disappointment that plans could not make it over the line to save money. Councillor Boyle asked if the equipment could be preserved for others to make use of. Chair of the IJB, Councillor Tom Conn, said that was not something the IJB could ask for. Supporting the closure proposal, he added, "I find myself reluctantly making a decision. I think the building does have a future, and hopefully local organisations can adapt and use it in a way which actually continues to meet the requirements of the community." Councillor Willie Boyle told the LDRS, "This is a decision that has been taken with questionable accountability and that will require further scrutiny to satisfy many in the local community." Fellow Bathgate SNP councillor Pauline Stafford, the opposition group's deputy leader, added, "This decision is short-sighted and will cost our communities dearly in the long run, materially diminishing the quality of life for many of our most vulnerable citizens. I am deeply disappointed with the IJB's decision to close Rosemount Cafe. The impact of its closure will have a negative impact across the community. The approach taken by the IJB goes against their own objectives, including the development of preventative approaches to improve health and well-being and supporting older people to live independently in the community." Councillor Stafford continued, "Rosemount Cafe is a vital social hub at the heart of our community. With an ageing population and a rise in people suffering social isolation and loneliness, we desperately need more facilities like Rosemount, not fewer." The campaigners brought forward proposals which would have achieved the majority of the savings needed whilst allowing the cafe time to move to a sustainable business model. Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop added, "The decision to close Rosemount Gardens Cafe is short-sighted and ill-considered. The decision by the IJB is despite proposals put forward that sought only a small but manageable sum of funding, which would have secured the immediate future of this important community service for so many elderly and vulnerable people. Given the cafe's role in promoting health, well-being and independent living, it exemplifies the preventative spend that the public sector aims to deliver. There are many in the community who have significant concerns about the process that was followed to arrive at this decision and the lack of input and engagement that they were afforded."
Protect dogs from warm sun. Dogs Trust has issued a series of tips to help West Lothian dog owners keep their prized pooches safe during warm weather. As temperatures rise on and off during a predominantly hot summer in the area, the charity is urging people not to forget their four-legged friends. The organisation's advice includes: provide shade and water. Make sure your dog has access to shade and plenty of fresh water throughout the day. Know the signs of heat stroke and cooling first aid. The ability to identify if your dog is overheating and knowing how to administer cooling first aid could be life-saving. Don't let your dog get burnt. Keep your dog out of direct sunlight where you can. Use pet-safe sun cream on exposed parts of your dog's skin, like the tips of their ears and nose. Ask your vet for more advice if needed. Plan ahead for adventures. Check the weather in advance and take your pal out at cooler times in the day, like early morning or late evening. And if you're planning a day out somewhere, check whether dogs are welcome. The charity also says if you are considering taking your dog out in warmer weather, you can do the 5-second tarmac test. Tarmac can get very hot in the sun and could burn your dog's paws. Check the pavement with your hand before letting your dog walk on it. Hold your hand down for 5 seconds. If it's too hot for you, then the charity recommends walking your dog later when it's cooled down to avoid burning their paws. Getting too hot can be really risky for our four-legged friends. They can't sweat except through their paws, so they rely on panting as their main way to get rid of heat. Panting is less efficient than sweating, especially when the weather is humid. To find out more information and advice, visit dogstrust.org.uk/dog-advice /life-with-your-dog/seasonal/hot-weather.
Trust to receive boost from government funds. A community development trust in a West Lothian village is to receive a funding boost. Kirknewton Community Development Trust is set to receive £35,000 from the Scottish Government's Strengthening Communities programme for 2025-2026. The funding is part of a £2.5 million package supporting almost 80 organisations across Scotland to deliver regeneration projects. The investment will help community-led organisations tackle local challenges, create opportunities and improve places to live and work. Across the country, funding will support projects including housing in rural areas, tourism and heritage initiatives, business start-up spaces, community food hubs, and the transformation of vacant buildings. The Strengthening Communities programme, now in its 13th year, has already helped hundreds of local groups deliver economic, social and environmental benefits to their communities. The SNP's Angela Constance, MSP for Amon Valley, welcomed news that the Trust will benefit from the programme funding. She said, "Kirknewton is a vibrant, forward-thinking village with a strong community spirit, and this funding is a well-deserved boost. The work at Kirknewton Community Development Trust is a shining example of how local people can take the lead in shaping their area's future. This investment will help them build on their fantastic achievements so far, creating opportunities, improving local facilities, and making Kirknewton an even better place to live, work and visit. I'm delighted to see the Scottish Government continuing to back community-led regeneration here in West Lothian. The Strengthening Communities programme is part of the Scottish Government's commitment to empowering local people to drive change in their own communities. And you can find out more at www.gov.scot/news/strengthening Scotland's communities. And that's the end of part 2, and we'll be back with part 3 shortly. Welcome back to part 3, which is our usual quiz, and the layout is normally 6 pub quiz questions. I have been told that it would be good to give them 10 pub quiz questions. So I've got them, so here goes. Number 1. Claire Grogan is best known as the singer of which 80s group? A. Orange Juice, B. A Flock of Seagulls, or C. Altered Images. Question 2. What type of animal is a oribi, which is ORIBI? Is it a pig, a goat, or an antelope? Question 3. In medicine, epistaxis is another name for what? A nosebleed, the flu, or a migraine? Question 4. Who was Poet Laureate from 1984 to 1998? Was it Ted Hughes, John Betjeman, or Andrew Motion? Question 5. Which 22-year-old won the Open Championship at Royal Lytham St Anne's in 1979? Sandy Lyle, Nick Faldo, or Seve Ballesteros? Question 6. On which American golf course is Amen Corner? Augusta National, Oakmont, or Pebble Beach? Question 7. What does the Russian word perestroika translate as? Openness, liberation, or reconstruction? Question 8. On which part of the body is a zucchetto, that's Z-U-C-C-H-E-T-T-O, worn? The head, the foot, or the hand? Question 9. What system of unarmed combat comes from the Japanese for empty hand? Jiu-jitsu, ninjutsu, or karate? And question 10. In which month do New Zealanders celebrate Waitangi Day? Is it February, August, or December? And that's the end of part 3, and we'll give you the answers to the quiz at the start of part 4. Welcome back to part 4, and we'll start part 4 with the answers to the quiz. Question 1. Claire Grogan is best known as the singer of which 80s group? Orange Juice, A Flock of Seagulls, or Altered Images? And the answer is Altered Images. What type of animal is a oribi? O-R-I-B-I. Is it a pig, a goat, or an antelope? And the answer is it's an antelope. In medicine, epistaxis is another name for what? Is it a nosebleed, the flu, or a migraine? And the answer is it's a nosebleed. Question 4. Who was Poet Laureate from 1984 to 1998? Was it Ted Hughes, John Betjeman, or Andrew Motion? And the answer is Ted Hughes. Question 5. Which 22-year-old won the Open Championship at Royal Lytham St Anne's in 1979? Was it Sandy Lyle, Nick Faldo, or Seve Ballesteros? And it was Seve Ballesteros. Question 6. On which American golf course is Amen Corner? Augusta National, Oakmont, or Pebble Beach? And it's Augusta National. Question 7. What does the Russian word perestroika translate as? Is it openness, liberation, or reconstruction? And the answer is reconstruction. Question 8. On which part of the body is a zucchetto worn? That's Z-U-C-C-H-E-T-T-O. Is it the head, the foot, or the hand? And the answer is the head. Question 9. Which system of unarmed combat comes from the Japanese for empty hand? Is it jiu-jitsu, ninjutsu, or karate? And the answer is karate. And the last question, number 10. In which month do New Zealanders celebrate Waitangi Day? Is it February, August, or December? And the answer is February. And that's the answer to the quiz, and we'll finish part 4 with some more general news items.
Quad bike thugs tear up town football pitch. Mindless quad bike riders damaged football parks used by a community club in a West Lothian town after they'd played just one game of the new season. Players and coaches at Whitburn Football Club were alerted to the bike riders tearing around the grass pitches at King George V Park late last Sunday night. Video footage showed at least 4 quads on the pitches with their lights on after dark, some spinning in circles on the grass. John Murphy, Secretary of Whitburn Football Club, has almost 250 players from the ages of 7 to 17 years old, many of whom will be affected by the damage. He said, as a club, we cut the grass ourselves in between council cuts and the pitches were looking minted there. We have 247 players and we've lost one pitch for 3 to 4 weeks. The 2 smaller ones are playable and there's one where the goal mouth is a bit iffy, so we've done some repair work there. We've had a number of volunteers turn up and touch wood, they, the quad riders, have not been back. It's a wee bit gutting. It's very selfish that guys can just come along on these bikes and cut up the park. We're actually within touching distance of signing a lease with the council for taking on responsibility for the pavilion, and the pitches come with it. One of the dads, plus 4 guys, turned up from a firm on Monday to do some remedial work, but it's not something they should have to be doing. A bit of rain now would help repair the pitches. Another disappointed member of the local community who lives nearby told the Courier that quads also appeared at the pitches over the weekend while children were playing football. They added, I took a wander down this morning. Oh my God, why, oh why do they do this? There is loads of excess grass areas around the edge of King George V to use for that if you really have to. The club have spent weeks getting these parks ready for the new season, and all the hard work is undermined by mindless idiots tearing up 3 of the 4 pitches. It's totally devastating for all at Whitburn Football Club. A West Lothian Council spokesperson said the damage to the pitches at King George V Park is the result of incredibly selfish behaviour. These reckless actions come at a cost, with a number of the pitches left in an unplayable condition, which will significantly impact on the local football club at the start of the new football season. We would urge anyone involved in this incident to reconsider their actions in the future. If anyone has any information which might be able to assist the police in their inquiries, then please contact them as soon as possible. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, we were made aware of damage to a pitch in the Bailey Street area of Whitburn. Anyone with information is asked to contact police on 101.
Hislop Surgery thanks. Fiona Hislop, MSP, has thanked constituents who came along to her 10-venue summer surgery programme, during which she visited a number of villages across West Lothian. The Linlithgow constituency MSP's surgeries took place on Monday, August 4th and Friday, August 8th. Fiona visited and conducted surgeries in 10 locations: Bridgend, Winchborough, Uphall, Dechmont, Newton, Blackridge, East Whitburn, Boghall, Bridgehouse and Westfield. She said, my series of summer surgeries, which had taken place every year over a number of years, were a great opportunity to meet local people who live in the villages in my constituency, as I normally hold surgeries in the bigger towns when Parliament is sitting. I want to thank everyone who came along to the surgeries to pass on any news on local matters.
Champion defies spine condition. British 1500-metre champion Sarah Calvert has revealed that she wasn't sure if she would ever run again following an operation as a teenager for a serious back condition. The 24-year-old Livingston AC athlete has scoliosis, a condition where the spine curves abnormally to the side. She underwent surgery to alleviate it and had metal rods installed in her back. Sarah is now women's British champion at 1,500 metres after a stunning victory in Birmingham, where she beat Laura Muir into second place by 0.05 of a second. It's now been revealed that University of Edinburgh student Sarah didn't run or exercise for a year in her mid-teens following the surgery. At one stage in 2015, the former Linlithgow Academy pupil didn't know if she would run again or ever achieve even moderate age group success in athletics. When I was 15, I underwent surgery for scoliosis, said Sarah. It was a really tough and scary time in my life. I had metal rods inserted in my back, and yes, they are still there. My family and I went through a lot at that time, and I couldn't do any exercise at all for a year. I remember at the time thinking, when will I ever get back to running again? Will I even be able to improve my personal bests? I was thinking, will I ever run again? Then, getting back, it took so long to be fit. I never knew if I would win races again and get to the top in my age groups. Time proved a great healer for Sarah, and by 2017 she was winning medals at Scottish schools events and Scottish age group champs. Sarah is coached by Luke Gunn and part of the University of Edinburgh Endurance Project in partnership with Scottish Athletics. Senior Scottish titles in recent years at 800 metres and 1,500 metres at Grangemouth hinted at more to come, and the past few weeks have seen her on the podium at the World Universities in Germany, the first Scot to do so in individual events since 1997, and earn that British champion title. Sarah continued, "My injury history over the past years has probably all been connected to issues with my back. I have to work with that, and I do try to forget about what happened in 2015 with the surgery. It does not affect me now. Nevertheless, I would not have expected to reach this level in the sport, to be honest. But I suppose the way to look at it is, if I could overcome that, then I can overcome anything else which may come my way. I have had Achilles injuries and so on, but it has not been my spine again. So somehow, sometimes, I've been able to think positively." Sarah revealed during an interview with BBC Scotland that her dreams of success predate her scoliosis diagnosis and were nurtured by visits to Hampden for the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games. Now she's targeting the Games when they return to the city next year. "I've always had big dreams of going to major championships, but I'm unsure if I ever really believed they were possible," said Sarah. "Now I have the belief that if I do keep training consistently, then this could be possible. I feel like I could write these goals down and try to achieve them next year. The Commonwealth Games in Glasgow would be great because all my family and friends could come and watch me. It seems like something I don't want to miss out on." I remember going to watch Lindsay Sharp in the 800 metres at Glasgow 2014 when she won her silver medal, and I was so excited. I was just a young girl at Livingston Athletics Club, and this was my first taste of what it would be like and what I could achieve when I was older.
10 years of helping thousands of kids. An incredible charity that has helped thousands of children and young people by providing therapy through horses has celebrated its 10-year anniversary. Ponies Help Children, which was originally set up to rescue abused and neglected ponies, marked a decade of having charity status earlier this month. Launched as a charity in 2015 by Heather Stevens and her mum, Moira Ireland, it has now 60 to 70 young people attending sessions each week. It's based at Blairmains Farm near Harthill, and in January 2022, a hub site was set up at Woodhead Farm, Uddingston, which is run by Anne McKegney. The charity uses the power of equine engagement as a therapy and provides a safe haven where children can engage and interact with the ponies. It can be of real benefit to young people who are autistic, have ADHD, severe anxiety or depression. Guests were invited along on the Saturday from local schools and charities who use the services. Grant funders who have supported the charity throughout the years, and others who have helped PHC develop and grow during that time. Eddie Ireland, the chair of Ponies Help Children, welcomed everyone to what was a very special occasion. He gave a heartfelt speech about how the charity had developed from its early beginnings, when the idea of using rescued ponies for therapy with local children was thought of by his wife Moira and daughters Heather Stevens, who is the CEO. Spiffox had provided funding to support the purchase of cabins for a new training facility and to kit it out. Francis Sim, the chair of Spiffox, officially opened the new facility, affectionately known as Pete the Sweet. This new addition to the facilities at Blairmains is to be used to develop young volunteers for positive outcomes via Dynamic Youth Awards and eventually SQA. Francis said, "We are pleased to be here to celebrate this important milestone with Ponies Help Children. We are proud to continue supporting your work to help you expand and strengthen the valuable services you provide to ponies, children and young people." Callum Stevens, the team leader at PHC, then made a triumphant entrance as he finished his 10-day challenge, running 10 miles each day for 10 days leading up to the anniversary celebrations. His 10 days took in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Stirling, Falkirk, West Lothian, North and South Lanarkshire, which are all areas that PHC have had clients from. To date, Callum has raised over £2,300. Heather, with the help of some volunteers, clients and ponies, then gave a demonstration to the assembled guests showing how sessions are normally carried out. She spoke about the ponies that have been rescued and each of their unique stories, which are fundamental to the pairing with their respective clients. Dr. William Morrison Young, the Deputy Lord Lieutenant of Lanarkshire, planted a commemorative tree to mark the achievement of 10 years. He praised everyone at the charity for their consistent, sterling work. To plant a tree which will grow and grow just as ponies help children. It's so nice to be at an event with a win-win solution. Ponies win and children win. The following day, to round off the weekend at celebrations, PHC hosted a party day for the staff, volunteers and their family, where everyone came together for fun and games. The Board of Trustees would like to thank all the many supporters of Ponies Help Children who have helped the charity to grow and thrive over the last 10 years. Wayne Stevens of PHC said, "A big shout out to all our volunteers who work at both the Blairmains and Uddingston sites, without whom there would be no charity. Thanks to their dedication, PHC are able to support so many clients each week. Thanks also must go to Craigend Nursery and Coffee Shop, Tesco Bathgate and John Clayton of Shotts, who supported that weekend with food and drink. If you're interested in being a volunteer, visit www.ponieshelpchildren.com, where you can find an application for in the Meet the Team section. And you can also find more about Ponies Help Children via their Facebook and Instagram social media accounts, or listen to them on their very own Ponies Help Children podcast, available on all main outlets. And that is the end of the news, but it's not the end of the session. We always try in our recording sessions to include, where possible, a poem or a composition written and read by one of our team, Ray. So, before we wind up our recording session, it's over to you, Ray.
Tonight I'd like to read you 2 poems. The first is called The Artist. I walked along the dusty path on yet another sunny day, until I found the perfect spot. The river slowly wound its way. I sat there with my pad and pens, my hat pulled down to give me shade. Then I began to sketch the scene, to recreate what nature made. On yonder bank the trees bowed down, with leaves like fingers hanging there in the slowly moving water. The smells of summer fill the air. The near bank hung with tufted grass, cow parsley, docks and marigold. The water voles peeped out below, as they have done since time untold. Mayflies flew across the surface, water boatmen skipped around in the margins of the river. Can better place on earth be found? Just then there was a flash of blue from the far bank, and bullet-like a shape blurred past, diving headlong into the water, made it strike. A short time passed, and then it rose victorious, bearing its catch. The kingfisher had made its move, the fish today had met its match. He flew triumphant to the trees, his blue and orange colours bright. He found his perch, consumed his meal, his hunger sated for the night. I closed my sketchbook with a smile. I knew that I could never draw the glory of that ancient fight. No paint could capture what I saw. As I walked back along the path, my heart was full, my spirit free. The river slowly wound its way. The birds sang in the woods for me. The next one is called The Accidental Meeting. You turned the corner, saw her there. You couldn't believe your eyes. Her face a little older now, but beauty never dies. You hesitate and wonder if you can hide before she sees. But no, too late. Her eyes meet yours. Your movement starts to freeze. She smiles, the one that all men love. You're drawn back in once more. Your heart is lost within her gaze. It's like it was before. She speaks with her angelic tones. No music sounds so sweet. You wonder why she left you then. Your life seems so complete. You lift your hand and give a wave and wait for her reply. You don't think that she's seen you, though, so now you want to die. At this point you realise she's really on a call. You're just a shadow from her past. Dejection casts its pall.
Thank you very much, Ray. We always like to do something different in Team 3, for sure. Now, we've come to the end of this week's recording, and we hope you've enjoyed it. When you have finished listening to the recording, can I remind you again to place the USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. And remember, wallets should only be posted in a post box. Do not post them in a post office. So, it's goodbye from the members of our team.
Therine,
Nan,
And Ray.
And it's goodbye from Andrew, our engineer, and from me, Jim. Goodbye.
Bye.
bye.